I'm Cari Champion, and welcome to The Arena. My co-host Kyle Korver and Nafisa Collier will join me shortly. But first, let's talk about legacy. It's one thing to be great at your sport and know that you'll be celebrated for what you've accomplished at such a high level. But when Henry Louis Aaron hit that historic 715th home run, he said, "Thank God this is over with." Now, what exactly did he mean by that? I can only guess that the accomplishment, coupled with anxiety, frustration, and the racist attacks he felt eventually would stop. Hank Aaron's legacy wasn't only about what he did for baseball, but it was also about what he did for mankind. Ernie Johnson tells this amazing story of what Hank meant to him.
I have this habit. Some of you might call it a sickness. I hang on to random things for a long, long time. Little League team pictures. My first grade report card. A reporter's notebook from 35 years ago. Credentials. I have boxes of magazines that I just can't part with. And I've got newspapers. And when I start thinking, why am I holding on to these? It's for such a time as this. Because when we lost Henry Aaron, I went back to the box and came away with this. From April 5th, 1974. The day after Hammer and Hank caught the babe.
Driven deep left field, back goes Rose. He's at the track, this ball is going and it's gone. 7-14.
That was my father, Ernie Johnson Sr., at the mic. He played with Henry for 5 seasons in Milwaukee back in the day, saw him hit his first big league homer in 1954. And then as a broadcaster, had the honor of watching his friend chase history.
Here's a pitch. Swung on, here she goes. Way back. This ball is going to get. Home run number 500. Swung on. There's a drive. Deep left field. This ball is going, and it's gone. 700 for Hank Aaron.
I met Hank Aaron as a kid, and through the years, every encounter with him became a cherished memory. I guess that's why as a high school senior in 1974, I held on to that newspaper. The Atlanta Constitution's coverage that day was testament to the brilliance of a ball player, the plaudits flowing with the ease and grace of number 44's swing. He had made history, enduring an ugly avalanche of racist hate mail and death threats along the way. But there was something a few pages deep I missed the first time around, which has grabbed my attention nearly 47 years later. Henry Aaron hit his 714th home run on the 6th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Aaron had requested a moment of silence be observed in honor of Dr. King. I thought it was appropriate, he said. There are a lot of black players on both teams, and some tribute would have been appreciated. But the Cincinnati Reds refused, saying, as a policy, our club has never gotten into religious things. We don't get into politics. We don't get into race. We just don't think fans want that when they come to the ballpark. It's just a policy thing. We certainly have nothing against Aaron. When I read that, it just felt like a 70s baseball version of what NBA players have heard in recent years. Shut up and dribble. Henry's request had nothing to do with himself, but with the cause of civil rights embodied by the man murdered exactly 6 years earlier. But on that afternoon in 1974, policy took priority over making a statement against the plague of prejudice. This newspaper from April 5th, 1974 may be a little tattered, a little rough around the edges. But does it provide a snapshot of Henry Aaron? One of the best to ever lace up a pair of spikes. And a man who, with the eyes of the world on his every swing, never took his eyes off the real prize.
I want to be remembered as someone who was able to forget about baseball, not someone who hit 700 home runs, who had a 300 batting average, but someone who did a little bit more to help mankind.
Hello, everyone. This is Arena. This is TNT's special programming where athletes and activism come together. And of course, I have a great panel today. I got NBA veteran Kyle Korver and WNBA 2019 Rookie of the Year, Napheesa Collier. Thank you I know, right? Woo! Napheesa Collier. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I think that we should talk about Hank Aaron. That was a beautiful piece. Again, Ernie Johnson, thank you so much for giving us that moment so that we can really, truly understand what he went through. I think for me, what I learned, and as we talk about the life of Hank Aaron, is that he wasn't really able to celebrate his accomplishments. When he wanted to have a moment of silence for Dr. King, he was told, we just don't do that. You know, that's not what we do. And as Ernie so eloquently put it, it's the version of shut up and dribble. But imagine having the world watching you at every single moment, and so many in the world not wanting you to break that record of Babe Ruth. And then when you do, you celebrate. But for him, it was a sigh of relief. He was like, thank God this is over. And I believe what he did made it possible so that the likes of a Kyle Korver and a Napheesa Collier can speak in the way in which you do so boldly and so proudly today. Your thoughts on Hank Aaron?
Well, I think just my first thought in watching that was how ironic, or I don't know, that it was 6 years to the day when Martin Luther King was assassinated, and there's something to that that just pulls my heart, right? But I think when I look back and I think about baseball, America's pastime in 1974, and just the state of America, and you have the legendary Babe Ruth, who holds, of all the records in baseball, right, this is the one, the home run record.
Yeah.
And you have the legendary Babe Ruth who holds it, and then you have a black man who's coming up and is maybe going to break this record. And like, I think initially there's this excitement that, oh, the record, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
But that he felt the weight of, you know, in that moment he knew he was not just an athlete. He was more than an athlete, and he was standing for so much more than just himself trying to get a record. And him embracing that and feeling the weight of that, I mean, that's just something to really sit and
just let it marinate. It's something that's amazing.
Yes.
I actually read, and Napheesa, I'll get your thoughts on this. I read that the AJC at the time, which is the paper here, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, they had prepared an obituary because they thought once he broke Babe Ruth's record, someone would try to assassinate him. And I couldn't even imagine. He was well aware of that, but he was so quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, they described him eloquently as a man with a touch of class. Your thoughts on what you saw?
I think it did, and I thought Ernie did a great job. First of all, I think that he's a great commentator. Just his voice and storytelling is awesome.
The best.
Yeah, a couple of things. I think it's sad that he felt relief instead of excitement at such a milestone, because of, like you said, they prepared an obituary for if he broke that record. The fact that you can't celebrate that, but you're worried or you're relieved because of what you're getting at that time. I think it was amazing that he kind of paved the way for Kyle and I to be able to do what we do today. And even the fact that Ernie compared it to just shut up and dribble, that was only a couple years ago. So the fact that he was fighting that fight all the way back then and we're still fighting it, and it's a lot better now, but up until a couple years ago, people were still saying the same things. So it's just kind of crazy to see the progression of that, and for him to be a pioneer of that and so long ago, I think it just takes a lot of bravery.
Yeah, bravery is the word of the day. And thank you guys again for being here. We have a special show coming up. Coming up next, we will talk about Kobe Bryant on the 1-year anniversary of his death. Napheesa will tell us how she started training with Gigi, and Kyle will share his moments going up against Kobe Bean Bryant. Also, here's what's interesting. Have you seen all those murals that were up all around the world? Of course, each one tells a story, and we will share that with you when the Arena returns.
Kobe's memory and influence is, I think stronger than ever.
Some people are just great souls, and I believe that they come into this world to do great things, and I believe Kobe was one of them. He was a part of LA, and he'll forever be ingrained in the city's culture.
Welcome back to the arena. Tuesday was the one-year anniversary of Kobe Bryant's death. And while his death, I guess, began a year that many of us would like to forget, there was always this reminder that we lost a giant. The greatness of Kobe and how much he will be missed and loved by basketball fans all around the world was memorialized on walls and sidewalks and buildings and across the world. We saw that. The artist painted murals of Kobe in LA and also in other places. And they say that he, in fact, was their idea of what a muse should be, fitting for a man who wanted to inspire so many with his life story.
Everybody has their own. It's your job to try to perfect it and make it as beautiful of a canvas as you can make it. And if you have done that, then you have lived a successful life. You have lived with Mamba mentality.
It's really hard to believe it's been a year since he passed. Sometimes it doesn't feel like he's gone.
It's difficult to comprehend. I still don't understand it.
When I heard Kobe passed, my heart stopped and I just sat there for like an hour and I was in complete disbelief.
Then we had heard it was his daughter and then the other victims. That made it just 1,000 times worse.
Time stopped. We just started crying. My kids, they never seen me cry like that.
It was just heavy hearts all over the place. The best word that I could really think of is collective grieving.
Kobe Bryant, I was like the king of LA.
He seemed like a god, you know?
Definitely rocked me. I think it rocked LA very, very hard.
The city was in complete disbelief, but they immediately reacted with an incredible show of love. These murals started sparking up all over the place. It was just incredible to see the city's response and just the amount of love they had for Kobe. Art plays a special role in keeping people's legacy alive and immortalizing them.
To immortalize Kobe is to talk about it, to keep him in your heart, keep him in your mind. I had a wall, I was able to paint and channel that energy into a mural, and hopefully it inspires other people to do the same.
This is dedication, this is anti-hesitation, this is a real celebration.
When I heard that he passed, I personally felt compelled to paint, not only because I was a big fan, but I just felt like I had to do something.
This was definitely a way for me to cope with the loss of Kobe Bryant. I pretty much put my tears in my paint.
Los Angeles is grieving. We're still grieving.
When this painting was done, within a week, we were getting flowers, hundreds of flowers. People in China sent money to a local florist who would come down and drop flowers off for the victims and for Kobe.
Hopefully it'll bring some kind of solace to the family.
What we're seeing with murals and arts, it's a healing tool, it's a healing mechanism, and it's allowing people to come to a tangible place to pay their respects to Kobe and Gianna and continue his legacy.
How long should I stay dedicated? How long till opportunity meet preparation?
245 murals of Kobe around Southern California.
That just shows the love that people had for him.
It's amazing that people have dedicated so much time and love to share and express themselves.
I feel like Los Angeles, every wall is gonna be filled with a Kobe mural eventually.
I knew Kobe, was loved worldwide, but once I started seeing all the murals pop up in, the Philippines and China, Australia, I mean, you name it, Italy, it just really showed the impact he had on, a global level.
I'm Sekou and I'm an artist from Rome.
My name is Poti. I'm an artist from France. My name is T. From Kyoto, Japan.
Hello, my name is Luis. I'm from China.
Thank you, Kobe. Because of you, we're all connected.
I'm Wilson and I'm an artist from Malaysia. You inspired millions of dreams from all around the world, and I'm one of them. Mamba forever.
I think art has such an importance to the world. It's like, it's an outlet of the soul.
Dedication.
You just wind up trying to create something that's going to inspire someone that hopefully, through that inspiration, they can inspire somebody else.
Kobe is a muse for a lot of people. They're immortalizing Kobe through art and telling these stories about his work ethic, his excellence, and the inspiration he's left all of us.
My mural was inspired by just that determination, that ferocity that he brought to the table. He did everything with 100% heart.
This is a quintessential story of never giving up, giving your all in everything you do. He was never satisfied.
That passion, that striving for greatness and, falling in love with the process.
Failure goes hand in hand with success. He has the most misses in NBA history, and that just goes to show he wasn't scared of failure.
I have two daughters that I love. That love between a father and a daughter, that to me is the biggest force of doing this mural was, to honor that bond.
That's what I think is really special here. Artists are telling stories and sharing their inspiration and really putting something powerful on the streets of LA that hopefully will last for a long time.
Some people are just great souls, and I believe that they come into this world to do great things, and I believe Kobe was one of them. He was a part of LA, and he'll forever be ingrained in the city's culture.
I mean, he was such a big impact in my life. You know, I'm definitely going to be painting these till the day I die.
The most important thing you can do is to pay everything that you learn forward to the next generation to come. And that's truly how you create something that lasts forever.
Kobe, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart
for inspiring me to be a great artist, just to get up and do what I love.
Helping me get through those years of tribulation in my life.
All the inspiration you've given me personally.
Inspiring a whole generation of kids.
Inspiring me to be a better person.
You helped me become the man I am now.
Always remember that. I'll always be grateful.
First off, we want to thank Mike Asner for helping us with that piece. And if you guys want to see the full collection of Kobe murals, go to kobemural.com. So, Fee, I start with you because I know that we've talked about Kobe and what he's meant to basketball, what he means to us and our personal relationships, but we rarely get to hear about Gigi. And I know that you trained with her, you saw her as the athlete that she was, and I'd like to hear about that relationship that you had with her and she had with her father.
Yeah, what I saw when I saw Gigi was just her competitive spirit, which was so fierce. And I remember last winter, we were training, it was right before Christmas, and we were going one-on-one, and it was me and a high school player that was there with Gigi. And I remember her going so hard and how fearless she was with it. And I remember thinking, even when we were going, like, I wasn't like this at 13. I don't know any other 13-year-old that's like this. And the fact that she has that mentality is what's going to make her so special. She went 100% going at us. I mean, she was shot faking. She was doing all her moves, just not a scared bone in her body. So I even remember thinking at that time, like, how amazing it is that she's like that. And the relationship that you saw with her and Kobe, obviously he was a coach and he would get on the girls. Like, he was like a real coach, even though they were in, you know, middle school at the time. Like, he would yell at them after games if they weren't doing
That's
what they
on
were
brand for
supposed to do.
Kobe, yeah.
Exactly. But you could see how proud he was of her every time, like every practice, every game, he'd be bragging about her. He would, when we first got there, he'd talk about her for like 5 minutes before he even started.
What would he say?
Oh, did you see that move that Gianna did? Oh, let me show you this video that she did. Let me show you, she did this and this, and isn't that so cool? I'm like, yeah, she's you. It's awesome. So it was just really cool to see. I mean, every time he talked about her or talked about his family, you could feel the love that he had for them.
Okay. As we talk about Gigi, it's interesting. A tweet just came across. Our producers have it. It's from UConn. And wow, that is special. When you think you can't, UConn. And they're just giving her a shout out. Look at you. I love it. You guys, I think that we often take for granted that he was just such a great player, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity, Fee, to see the father in him and the coach in him. The player in him, we all know. Kyle, your memories of Kobe, playing against him and what he was like.
Playing against him. Well, I think first I need to acknowledge that normally I wasn't his matchup. I was the guy coming to help or double team. You know, but I think the thing that, you know, you just respect so much about Kobe is he just got lost in the details. He got lost in the detail. He of all of the players who have played the game, like, there's probably some who have had more talent than Kobe. But did anyone ever squeeze more of their potential out? He wanted to squeeze every ounce of potential that he might have had in him. And he did it for so long, 20 years. He found the details, and then he conquered the details, and then he found the details in the details. And that's what made him special. It was his mind. Like, he had incredible ability, but his mind was this steel trap that there was a certain way that he was going to play, and there were certain spots on the court that he was going to own. And he knew how you were going to guard him. He knew how the team was going to guard him, and he had planned out in his head what he was going to do to attack you. And just watching that over all the years and all the moments, watching him evolve and be who he ultimately became was just, it's inspiring. It's inspiring as a basketball player. It's inspiring, you know, as an artist, all these people. I think everyone has been touched by him in some way, and that's really powerful.
It's interesting that, what's that old saying, the devil is in the details? Like, if you forget the details, so many things are missed. And for you to say that describes why he was so great. I think, Fee, what I forgot to even mention to you is that what I thought in terms of this next chapter, especially when Kobe was so in love with the WNBA and women's basketball because of his daughter, I felt, and his daughter and the other two young ladies who were in the helicopter crash were, 2020 draft honorees, but I felt like we were watching, and we still are seeing this, but we were watching something great. Like, Gigi really wanted to play in the league, and Kobe had brought a certain excitement when he would attend the games, when he would attend you guys' games. The girls would lose their mind. They'd be like, oh my God, Kobe's here. Or he would know everyone's name. I remember certain WNBA players were coming to me like, Kobe knows my name because my daughter knows him, or my daughter knows me. And so therefore, it was all this excitement. Did you feel that?
Absolutely. And I mean, even before I got to the league, Gigi was a big UConn fan, and we lost in the Final Four 2 years. And he was telling me, she's like, Gigi was so mad at you guys. She was crying in the car. She's like, when I get there, this is never going to happen.
Oh, no! That's a great story. So Gigi's like, when I get to UConn, we're never losing.
This is never gonna happen. He's like, she was so mad at you guys. I can't believe you lost. I'm like, Gigi, I'm mad too. Trust me, girl.
Fee, thank you for sharing that. And Kyle, I appreciate it. We are going to do a bit of a transition here, a tough one. We'd like to take a moment to talk about another loss, this one in the Turner family. Sekou Smith died on Tuesday. He was 48 years old. Smith was an NBA reporter and an analyst for Turner since 2009. Sekou covered the NBA for more than 20 years. He was well respected and loved in the basketball community. He was one of those folks you'd meet once and say, gosh, he's a really good guy. When the sports world learned about his death due to COVID, there was a collective sadness that was just palpable. He leaves behind his wife, Heather, and 3 children. Among those to send their condolences was NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. He said this: the NBA mourns the passing of Sekou Smith, a beloved member of the NBA family. Sekou was one of the most affable and dedicated reporters in the NBA and a terrific friend to so many across the league. His love of basketball was clear. To everyone who knew him and always shined through in his work, our heartfelt condolences go to his wife, Heather, and their 3 children, Gabriel, Riley, and Cameron. Here's some tweets from folks who know him. D. Wade, obviously working here as well. I've never had anything but positive interactions with conversations with Sekou. Our prayers go out to the Smith family. We lost a good one. Rest in heaven. Chris Paul. Man, today just got a little heavier. My condolences to Sekou's wife, family, friends, and extended NBA family. What a kind and compassionate man we just lost. Sekou Smith, 48 years old. May you rest in power. Hey everybody, so welcome back to the arena. First of doubleheaders tonight here on NBA on TNT, Portland Trail Blazers at Houston Rockets. That's Dame, guys. Your favorite player? One of your favorites?
Oh, sure.
For sure?
Love Dame.
You love Dame?
Love Dame.
Yeah, I love to watch him, right? He has a lot of passion. Bye-bye. Also, one of ours, and we're referring to this guy here, you went to the Vatican, you talked to the Pope. What happened? What did he say?
Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff. He's an
Lots of good stuff.
Amazing person.
Okay, well, we will find out coming up next. He was inspired, I'm inspired, you'll be inspired, you don't want to miss it. But first, folks, stay tuned for a special look at Judas and the Black Messiah in theaters and streaming exclusively on HBO Max. Last summer, when the NBA restarted their 2020 season in the bubble in Orlando, the players utilized that stage to speak out loudly about their individual and collective effort to basically talk about social justice. After their shooting, or their work stoppage, if you will, when Jacob Blake was shot by a Wisconsin police officer, people took notice all around the world, and that led to other sports actually creating their own work stoppage as well. Well, it just so happens that there was someone who was paying attention, someone that was amazing and holier than thou, if you will. It was the Pope. There was a delegation of 5 NBA players who were allowed to go over and visit the Pope to talk about what was happening here in America. Take a look.
In a time where our world is craving leaders that unite, get to spend time with perhaps the most humble, loving leader in the world today. What a gift.
We're here because we're inspired by the work that you do.
We got to share our hearts and our stories, and then he got to just pour into us.
Io prego per voi e chiedo a Dio che vi benedica.
I'm at the Vatican, and I just met the Pope. Yo, you never know what tomorrow might bring. I just found out about this 2 days ago.
The meeting with the Pope began when one of my staff members said, "It looks like the Pope would like to meet with our players." God forgive me, I thought he was the victim of a hoax. The Vatican reached out because the Pope had been watching what was happening in the United States, and he was particularly impressed with the decision by the players to stop playing when we were in the bubble.
The Bucks have boycotted this game. We are not going to have Game 5 between Orlando and Milwaukee.
Despite the overwhelming plea for change, there has been no action. So our focus today cannot be on basketball.
This was just a statement that resounds not only through the NBA, but through the world of sports.
The guys, they wanted to make a statement and a stance to say, listen, we feel this way and this is what we want to do in order to come to some type of solutions.
As guys playing in the NBA, we know that we have a voice, we have an opinion, but does it really matter, right? Like, does it really matter?
I think when we're in the bubble and you're not connected to people, you're like, is anyone hearing this? Is anyone hearing our interviews? Is anyone watching these games? And then you find out that, yeah, someone was. The Pope was actually watching.
We immediately began to just ask many of our players in our leadership group, the executive committee, who they would recommend for the invitation.
What I loved about the group of guys that ended up going was the diversity of that group. Having Sterling there, who had to run in with the cops, Jonathan, who stood in the bubble, got backlash for it. Then you have, someone like Marco, who is not from the United States. Then you have Kyle, your average Midwestern white guy that has been around and seen enough to have a very, very strong opinion about social injustice, and then myself.
There's a purity to the people who were there, they're not in this for anything other than, they want to be sources of good. They want to be sources of love. We want to, whatever influence we have, we want to push it forward.
Yo, Pan, you ready? Man, let's lock and load.
The logistics were insane because we had such an abbreviated period of time to get everything pulled together.
It all happened very, very quickly. It just was mayhem.
There was a lot of moving pieces that came together in a very short period of time.
We needed to get a plane. We needed to understand what the rules of quarantine were in Italy. We had to make sure that they were tested.
We had to go and run and get tested.
We had to obviously get tested a bunch of times, twice here, once there.
We also had 4 kids, right?
I got 3 little kids and someone's got to watch them.
Got to get these kids somewhere, got to get this dog somewhere.
And I had to figure out what I was going to wear.
What am I supposed to wear when you go and meet the Pope?
It just really happened really fast. And the next thing you know, we're on a plane to New York and then to Rome.
What do you see when you looking at me? See me come up from nothing, see me living my dreams.
It almost felt like it was a movie. We're walking, into the library. You're like, oh wow, this is real.
And we're talking about this before we're going in. Do you say, Your Honor, your Father, Heavenly Father?
Beforehand, I think everybody's just thinking in their mind, prepping on what they wanted to say and how they wanted to say it.
I could sense the nervousness, and it was palpable. I could feel my heart beating quickly, and I think I could hear the players' hearts beating loudly. After about 20, 25 minutes, we were finally told, okay, the Pope is ready to receive you.
We turn the corner and there's the Pope.
What was really funny is we were all standing, the Pope was standing, and at one point he pretended he was gonna, this is hysterical, he pretended he was gonna sit down, so we all started sitting down, and then he stood up again.
And he kind of like looked at us, and we all looked at each other like, oh crap, like, did we offend him? And then he started kind of like laughing.
The first thing I thought to myself was, the Pope is like a comedian. He's funny, right? And it really, to some extent, broke the ice. And then one by one, they got up and spoke to the Pope.
I thank you for this opportunity and look forward to the conversation that we will have here today.
He wanted to hear from all of us. He wanted to hear all of our perspectives and everything that all of us had to say, and wanted to hear our thoughts and our hearts. So much respect for how you have led with love and how you see people for the humanity in them.
I believe that we're all flawed, and we all have so many things that are wrong with us and are wrong with our society, and we can't have this conversation without God.
Ultimately, after everyone spoke, he did himself speak, and what he essentially said was, I have been following your work. I think the work that you're doing is important, and that they should be proud.
Io sono contento di questa riunione, del coraggio che avete avuto di venire. Grazie.
He talked a lot about unity and how this is the key. How do we unite our country, our world?
And one thing that he really highlighted was our differences, right? Each of you are different men, but use that to your advantage and use that to affect positive change in any way that you can.
It gave me hope that on this journey that we're still trying to continue to make this world a better place, the way that I believe and the way that I feel won't be counted out or pushed to the side or trampled on.
I'm sure there were some people who viewed what we were doing as just play basketball. Let's leave politics out of it. Let's leave social problems out of sport. We just want you to play basketball. I think it was important for this meeting to happen for people to understand that what we're doing is being noticed around the world.
For Pope Francis to invite us in and say, keep going, I am blessing you, I am praying for you, you're on the right track, keep going. That's just wind in your sails.
The pride that those men walked out of that meeting exhibiting was something I'll never forget. It was the ultimate rubber stamp.
I would hope that everybody walks away saying, I'm going to continue this fight. I'm going to continue to have ears open and an open mind and an open heart to create change.
Wow, just wow. The whole time I'm smiling. We have a humble Midwestern guy sitting in studio with us today who was able to have that experience. You were a part of the delegation. What I loved what the Pope said, use your difference as a superpower, because that is going to be the way in which we all unite. Walk us through the quickness, the hastiness in which you all had to get there and prepare yourselves to meet the Pope.
I mean, I got an email from Michelle, but it was from her personal account, and so at the top it said fraud alert, right? So I almost didn't open it, but then I read what it said, and it's like, do you want to come meet the Pope? And I'm like, this has got to be fraud, right? So I call Michelle, I'm like, is this for real? And she's like, yeah, I'm trying to get a hold of you. We're going to see the Pope. You want to come? I'm like, yes. What do I got to do?
How to get there?
And so there was obviously a lot of things we had to figure out, but we're more than willing to do that and to make that happen.
Kyle, so the first thing that I noticed, I know at home you guys were thinking, because I didn't see a mask. You walked in to meet the Pope and he didn't have a mask. Was he just like, it's all good, y'all get out of here, y'all need it? Just blessed y'all and sent y'all on your way?
I was not going to question him. We all felt very tested. We wore our masks up until the very last moment. But you know, we're all thinking about that. They're like, what if I got it? What if I give COVID to the Pope?
You cannot give the Pope COVID.
I don't want to give the Pope COVID, right? So we're obviously, it's in the back of our heads, but hey, the Pope said to wear a mask. Like, anyway, it was quite the experience, but it was amazing. I mean, he shared so many incredible messages, but another message that he shared was like, we're in a moment of crisis. Right, and after you don't go back to the way things used to be, right? You're either going to come out of a crisis for the better or for the worse. Yeah. And the choices we're making right now during this crisis is what's going to decide if we come out for the better or for the worse. And, you know, he's just just who he has been as Pope. He has stood for all the oppressed, all the marginalized, Like that has been his heart the whole time. So anything that he had to say, I am ears. Like, speak to me. You know, we had to try to, like, they asked us if we wanted to say something to the Pope, and I'm like, and am I supposed to try to inspire the Pope?
Yes,
like,
you are.
What do I say to the Pope? Like, just talk to me, right? But it was an incredible moment.
What did you say to the Pope?
I just said I was so excited to meet him. I just respect. So it was an awesome moment for Creighton University. So he is Pope Francis is the first Jesuit Pope. Me and Anthony Tolliver, who was on the other side of him, we both went to Creighton, Jesuit University. And so I've admired him and obviously respected him and loved him for a long time, but just, you know, how he has led in these moments. Like, his message right now is unity. He's trying to unite the church, countries, the world, and like, that is what we need. But it comes from him, the most servant-hearted man possibly on the platform that he has, the influence that he has, and watching him use it how he's doing it is just, it's beautiful and it's what we need. So it was just timely, obviously an incredible opportunity and something that I'll be pulling from a long time.
Wow, that was special. Thank you for sharing that. Fee, I know you wanted to, you know, share your thoughts on that as well.
I think it's, I mean, so amazing because the reason that we had the seasons that we had was to bring light to these issues that we believe in. So the fact that not only are people seeing it, but someone like the Pope is seeing it and he feels so strongly about it that he wants to do something like that is amazing. And I just want to say, you know, Pope Francis, we were doing the same thing. I don't remember an invitation.
Yeah. Did you? What happened?
Hey, you know,
Kyle,
it's good to know that, you know, none of us are perfect.
Wait a second. Do you have the Pope on speed dial?
Next time I go to the Vatican, I will bring this up to him because that is a valid point.
That is a few words I want to exchange with them. So
I do want to add with this as we close. It is very important to know that the work that you all are doing is being noticed, and for it to be noticed by the Pope, and he requests that you all come to the Vatican. That is something special. So this is why we have the show. Look, I mean, this is why we're doing what we're doing, and I applaud you, both of you, on this platform. So thank you. Keep up the good work.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, let's talk about Wednesday. It was International Holocaust Remembrance Day. It's a subject not often discussed in sports, but with the social justice movement and increased commitment around the world to combat anti-Semitism, it's garnering the attention it deserves. Turner Sports' Adam Lefkoe helps illuminate what Jewish athletes endured during the Holocaust as we honor those who were not able to be here and those lives who were lost. A warning, a few of these images may be disturbing for some. Viewer discretion is advised.
Every January 27th since 2006, the world is called to the somber observance of International Holocaust Remembrance Day, commemorating the 1945 liberation of the concentration and extermination camp Auschwitz-Birkenau. We remember the 6 million Jews and hundreds of thousands of Roma and Sinti murdered by the Nazi regime and its collaborators in a genocide called the Shoah, or the catastrophe, and the Paraimos, the destruction. We remember those who died in the ghettos of sickness and starvation, those brutalized and murdered in forced labor camps, death camps, or in death marches, and those forced to live in former concentration camps after the liberation because they had no place to go. We remember the enormity of this atrocity and that those who experienced its trauma and bear the generational trauma today understand that the Holocaust was made possible by persecution set down in law, normalized in culture, and too often unspoken. And we are inspired to break silence on injustice. And we remember the athletes murdered in the Holocaust, including Lily Hanach, a record-setting track and field star, Tunisian boxer Victor Perez, Johan Trollman, a Sinto boxer, and Eddie Hamel, the first Jewish player for soccer club AFC Ajax. We remember those who survived, like Agnes Coletti, who won 10 medals in the 52 and 56 Olympic Games and just turned 100 years old, and Alfred Nakash, who swam in the Olympics before and after surviving 2 concentration camps. We remember these and countless others whose very existence has also been an act of resistance against not one moment in time, but centuries of systemic oppression. We hold in our hearts members of our NBA family whose own family members were murdered in the Shoah, like Mark Cuban, whose mother lost a quarter of her family, and Ernie Grunfeld, the son of Holocaust survivors, but whose grandparents could not escape. Recently, Ernie's son Dan wrote, "The Holocaust must be talked about. It must be studied. Its stories must be shared. Every day, there are fewer survivors around to transmit this history." We salute the organizations like Chelsea FC for being at the forefront of the battle against anti-Semitism. As Portland Trailblazers Enes Kanter has said, standing up against anti-Semitism is a duty for all of us. As symbols and acts of hate in our midst demonstrate, the duty is now and it is constant. We reflect on not only what the world has lost, but what it has yet to gain. As Olympic gold medalist Ali Raisman recalled, "I received a letter from a Holocaust survivor saying she never imagined in her life seeing a young girl performing to Hava Nagila in front of the world and see her win for it." As we reflect, we also honor those whose names we may never know, because no one survived to remember them. As we are called to somber observance, those who have not known the pain of the Shoah can begin to understand the gravity of those horrifying years and the abiding agony ever since. As Olympic weightlifter Ben Helfgott said, "They tried to destroy our people, and this must never happen again."
Hey, so welcome back to the arena, guys. We are looking at, again, Portland Trailblazers at the Houston Rockets. We want to also remind you guys, something interesting happened on Monday. See, you can help me with that. History was, look at these girls. History was made. The NBA referees, who had Natalie Sekou and Jenna Schroeder, marked the first time in NBA history 2 female officials worked the same game. And Fee, you know one of these ladies, right?
I do. Natalie reffed me in high school, so it's kind of cool to say that I know her.
Well, hey there, on to the big. She knew you, that's what she's saying, I know her. Also, let's give a shout out to Jennifer King. The Washington football team hired her as the team's first full-time Black assistant head coach. She's the assistant running backs coach, making her the very first Black female in NFL history to be a full-time coach. I actually had the opportunity to talk to her. She's absolutely amazing, long time coming. Congrats to you, Jennifer. And last but not least, Naomi, what is she up to? Naomi Osaka, always making me proud. She actually bought the North Carolina Courage, the National Women's Soccer League. Throughout my career, she says, I've always received so much love from my fellow female athletes, so that's why I am now a owner of the North Carolina Courage. So I am beyond excited for her. Meanwhile, it is time for Cari's Champions. 14-year-old Tyler Gordon is already an accomplished artist, and what I mean by that is he has received all sorts of praise from folks like Kevin Durant, the vice president, I think you know her, Madam Kamala Harris, and LeBron James. He is so inspirational. But here's the true beauty in all of his work. It's really about his spirit. He is so special, and that is why tonight he is one of my champions. Tyler Gordon, many people have seen your work. They may not know the backstory. When did you know that you wanted to be an artist?
One night, I had this dream. God told me that if I didn't use my talent, he was gonna take it away. I used to watch my mom paint all the time. So it kind of runs in the family. And that day, she gave me one of her smaller canvases. And 17 minutes later, I painted my principal. My mom's jaw dropped because she told me that it took her years to even get this far, and I only did it in a couple of hours.
Early on, you had a few, very well-known hardships you had to overcome. You were deaf, and then you had an experimental surgery, and you can hear in one ear. Physical issues last year where you had to be in a wheelchair for some time, and you also now speak up on anti-bullying. How are you able to continually overcome life's little challenges at such an early age?
So I really just don't let this stuff get to my head. I just keep going, keep pushing, and I want to accomplish what I want to accomplish. just to be given this talent, I feel like I was given it just to inspire people and just change the world.
So talk to me about when you were contacted by Time Magazine and they said, we're going to use your artwork on the cover for Athlete of the Year.
When they told me, I started crying a little bit because I was just really shocked, but it was a really fun experience.
Madam Vice President, Kamala Harris reached out to you once she saw one of the portraits you did of her, as well as Stacey Abrams. Talk to me about those experiences.
First, Kamala Harris, when she contacted me, I was in complete shock.
I'm overwhelmed with the magnificence of your artistry. You really have a gift, my goodness.
Thank you.
Such a gift.
First of all, she's the vice president. And second of all, she's also from the Bay Area, my hometown. And just the fact that she contacted me on a random day.
What about when Stacey Abrams and you had a chance to chat over Twitter?
My mom didn't even know. She just checked on the Twitter and she saw that she commented on my video.
What do you hope other kids learn from you when they see your story?
I hope that they get inspired to go live their dream, because my main quote and saying is, if you want to do something, set a goal to achieve it. Your limit is your imagination. Just use your voice, keep pushing forward, and I just hope to inspire tons of kids and adults.
Tyler Gordon is truly a champion, so thank you for being one of my champions. One thug tear for Tyler. Your mind is the limit of your imagination. He did this Kobe mural portrait right behind us. Any thoughts on him?
Oh, incredible. And it's just life-giving, watching this younger generation just pushing us forward and creating. It's awesome.
To see such talent and to see him using it, I think it's awesome. So obviously he's going to do great things.
All right, so Fee and Kyle, you guys have been great. I enjoyed us. Together, I really have. I've enjoyed all of us. I hope you have too. We are done. We'll be back at it next week. We're gonna send it to those guys, EJ, Chuck, Kenny, and Shaq. They'll have some fun. Talk to you next time. Thank you, guys.